watching it with a critical eye, because I've seen it so many times. It's like I just watch it because it's enjoyable. But when you're like kind of like analyzing it and like thinking about like what's actually happening, you're totally right. It's just like nothing really matters. The story just, it's like it's on the tracks and it's just going, and you're just along for this ride. And it's like it could do so many things better. And I don't know if, for me, my favorite Miyazaki film is Spirited Away, because it does everything right, whereas this movie, it's suffering from like, and it's 2 hours, right? It's a long film,
Yeah.
but they still couldn't get the pacing right. And it's such a shame too, because I think the story, if told in a different way, is actually a very good one. It's just, it feels rushed. You're like, you're from the start of the film, you're going, and it's just like light speed, and you just like, you keep going. You stop a couple times here and there, but for the most part you're just on the roller coaster, and it doesn't stop, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah, it's interesting that like you mentioned, Rolando, it's like watching this movie for an enjoyment purpose like is great because it does a lot of things. It has a lot of like action, it's got like romance parts, and it has obviously great animation. The soundtrack is amazing, but I think that's also like one of the faults of it is that it has so much going on. It has so much in it, that when you start dissecting these things and start thinking about like where the plot is going or where it's even coming from, yeah, you start like second guessing, like, okay, well, like, why are we now in a war that they have no explanation, and why did we need to fight? Who are we fighting? What side are we on? Like, where is all this going? Why are these characters flip-flopping? It's so interesting that when you have so much content, you're not able to make these connections in this movie. And I think that's why, yeah, I agree with you guys that like upon rewatching it and like, you know, multiple times, this is very much so like holds a special place in my heart because this was like one of the first Ghibli films that I watched, and I watched it, you know, a long time ago, and I just enjoyed it just because it was so different. You know, it was incredible for like the magic that it had in it. And then yeah, now watching it again, it's like, it's still a great movie, but it could have done things better for sure.
Glaring faults for sure.
Yeah, it's mostly just in just like the way the story moves, in my opinion, and kind of they put a lot of weight into the relationships of the characters, which is what's always great about Ghibli films, and kind of like the animation, and it's just like everything looks beautiful, but the main fault I see with this movie is things are moving, you're not really sure why, and it's moving at like this lightning speed pace like Drew mentioned, and you're just like trying to get a grasp of what's going on, and then an hour into the film is when it like picks up again, and just like you're still confused as to what the hell is even going on, but that's when like the emotional, like the characters' relationships with each other like really flesh out, and I feel like that's kind of like a strong point for it, is like you can see their relationships developing, and like despite how crazy Sophie looks in the movie, just with how like her personality changes, like I guess like you could kind of attribute that to her kind of breaking her own spell kind of that's cast on her, because depending on her mood, she's either old or starts to get younger. So it's really something, I guess, that you enjoy the subtleties of the movie more than you enjoy the whole overall the overall picture, I guess.
Definitely agree.
Yeah. Sorry, were you gonna say something?
Oh no, what Rolando mentioned, it's like it's the super subtle things, right? As you pay attention to like Sophie, and like as she's like making different transitions in different scenes, it's just like really fun to like see where she is, in terms of like her transition, you know, back to her normal self, or, you know, back to the old lady, and just like the subtleties in the animation is really good, and it does a lot of those things really right. But like Rolando mentioned, it's just like at some point I was asking myself, why do I care? And that's the problem with Sophie's character, right? Like, why do I care that this happened to her? Because you have 5 minutes of intro of her. There, you know, she's walking to the bakery. A bunch of stuff happens, and then she gets cursed. And during that like 5 minute scene from like where she meets Hal to where she's talking to her sister and going back, it's like they're trying to make you feel sorry for her because she's like, oh, I'm the oldest in the family, so I have the duty to, you know, take over the family business, and you know, I've accepted that. And here's like the predicament that I'm in, and I'm ugly compared to my sister. You know, everybody's fawning over her, stuff like that, and I'm just sitting here like, okay, that's your life. You know, I don't really care that you got cursed. And then I say that multiple times throughout the movie. It's like, you know, why do I feel bad that, you know, all this stuff is happening to her? Like she's like walking to the waist, and she like put herself in that position. So it's like, I don't feel bad for you. And then it's like, she's dealing with all this stuff with Hal, and it's just like, yeah, he's like a magician. He's a wizard. He's got his stuff that he's worrying about. So I don't know. It's just like, why do you care about the main character, which is something you don't want to say about a movie?
Yeah. Not only that, but like, why do you care about like her saving the witch? Like the witch really did nothing.
That really
good.
bothered me.
Same thing with the dog. I mean, it's nice that she saved the dog. I guess somehow she just kind of brought the dog along.
It kind of just made it. It gave it this. It felt like a convenient conflict that happens later.
Yeah,
like that's literally all it did.
It's like it sort of felt like this forced resolution too, because it's like, well, now we have the witch, and I guess everything is fine now.
Yeah.
She
gets her
cursed
resolution as well at the end, I guess.
Yeah,
I guess
she gets.
She just decides, I guess I'm okay without my desire.
And that was resolved in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And then she like kisses her, and she says like, you're a kind-hearted person. And like, no, she's not.
Give me your heart.
She's really not.
She wasn't for a long time.
No, she turned you into an old lady, and then was a bitch to you until she got turned. Like they removed her power and turned into an old hag.
And then she was still kind of a bitch.
Yeah.
And then you still kind of exactly. I mean, there's a lot of things that was like, it kind of like, you know, that was one of the first things that I had on here was, you know, age and beauty as like a theme in this movie is prevalent throughout. I mean, with Sophie's curse, with Hal's obsession with his own image, this whole idea of like being beautiful and like having like an outward appearance of like, or being like at least confident in yourself too. I feel like that was a big thing that kind of came and went in the movie, not only from like Sophie's point of view, but from the other characters, like we mentioned, like with the Witch of the Wastes. You get these like flip-flopping ideas of, you know, their takes on beauty and how they view others and how they view themselves. Just kind of thought it was interesting the way that they use that to resolve Hal's own issues. I don't know like what you guys thought about that like first reveal with Solomon, where she says, well, now I know Hal's weakness. I felt like I was still lost at that point. I don't know how you guys felt on that like reveal.
So here's another problem with the pacing, right? We don't actually know like what Hal's issue is, and so when you're watching it for the first time, it's like you said, it's like his obsession with his self-image, and that should be the main theme of the movie, right? Because, you know, Sophie's obviously gone through this transformation. Hal's obsessed with his, you know, his looks and how he is perceived by others. But then you just pass over that. It doesn't really matter, which is crazy, right? Because the whole point of the movie, at least what I thought, at least originally, is, you know, this idea and this concept of beauty, and being able to not only love others but love yourself.
Yeah,
But like I said, the pacing is so bad that it's like you get that for like 2 seconds. Hal like gets in his bath and dyes his hair and gets pissed and emo about it, and then they have that resolution, and then all of a sudden they're going to meet Solomon, and a whole bunch of other stuff happens after that, and then it like transitions to more of like a theme of love, because you see like when Sophie's like confronting Solomon, she turns back into, you know, her younger self, and it's obvious to everybody that, you know, she loves Hal, and that's why she's able to make that transition and break her curse. But where then does the whole theme of beauty come into play? Because it doesn't really matter after that point.
Yeah, I think that was the thing that I was like, so I guess I had issues with, is like we have this whole theme of like age and beauty being central to these characters' like motives, and then all of a sudden it just kind of transforms into love at some point, which I mean, like,
Yeah.
I understand that, like, you know, they have an attraction towards each other, and they sort of felt, I don't know, it's also like a familial attraction as well. And then like all of a sudden it's just like, well, love conquers all type of, you know, like answer to the whole theme at that point. I just thought it was kind of odd that they had this sort of whiplash transition in you know, the themes of this movie. You also brought up another thing of like, I guess like their curses at that point. It's sort of like, what then is the answer to the curses that we've been dealing with this entire movie? And it's like, I guess we kind of fall upon the tropey answer of love.
Love conquers all.
Love conquers all.
So it does. It's not like it doesn't, right? Because there's like, you know, she's going around kissing everybody. You know, Turnip Head's there. He's like, only my true love can break that spell. And then Witch is like, yo, your woman like loves this other dude right here. And he's like, war is bad. So now let's go take care of that. And then he tops away. It's just like there's too much. The movie doesn't know what it wants to be. It's like suffering from identity crisis, and it's like, I don't know. I don't know.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I just think that there are good things about this film,
Yeah.
and like weirdly enough, like the good things I see in it have to do with Sophie, but she also has some of the worst problems with the movie are involving her character as well. And so that's why I understand why you see it's a mixed bag in terms of like how people view this movie, because when your titular character is so, I guess, up and down,
Schizophrenic.
Yeah, she's schizophrenic, and there's just like, and like everything that's good and bad about the movie kind of is on her. It's just odd. Like, yeah, I find myself, I guess, conflicted in terms of how I feel about the film.
Yeah, because I liked Sophie's character at times. It's like, I appreciate that she was so accepting of her circumstances, and she was sort of, you know, got this like whole life to her when she got old. But then it sort of doesn't make sense at times throughout the movie as well. It's like, you know,
like,
as soon as she starts feeling the connection to Hal, then her personality starts changing again, and then not to mention the very end of the movie where she's just like 100% resolved for apparently no reason.
Yeah, it's just when some of the moments you can point out in the movie with her character are, so Hal accidentally dyes his hair red because Sophie moved shit around, and then she's like trying to comfort him, and then she's taken aback a bit by like what's happening to him, and then she has the fucking Baka moment, like Baka kind of moment, and she just like, I would have run away, and I'm just like, what? And then she runs away for 2 seconds. Marco comes out and gets her, and then she's like, okay, I'm back. It's like, what?
Yeah. I don't know.
Pacing.
It's like some of those unexplained like motivations for the characters. I don't know why the character would have done that. It seemed like she was, already headstrong at that point and would have just taken the reins or completely like yelled at him. It's
Yeah.
I don't know.
She's mad at the Witch of Waste who turned her into this, and then she's like looking out for her at the same time.
Yeah.
See, that's why I'm just like so confused about this movie. Just her character.
Let's talk about what this movie does right, though. Right.
Yeah.
So I think the climax of the movie is very good. I like the whole idea of her kind of going into the past and like observing Howl and seeing kind of like how he doomed himself, and she's there for the solution, and then them meeting back in the future and like, I know how to fix this. I'm sorry I waited so long. Let's do this. I think that scene is very good. That's like very powerful. I think the opening scene, although it is very rushed in terms of pacing, I think it is very good because the music is excellent. The music is just like perfect. You get the waltz, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're waltzing through. These guys are chasing him. It's fast paced. They're up in the air, moving. And then like the movie's super good, or the music is super good in that. And there's other things like that. I think Marco, his character is very good. Calcifer is like kind of a tragic character that you sympathize for. So there are positives for the movie for sure. But they're easily muddled just because of how they're presented to you sometimes, for all the things that we've talked about. I think. I don't know if you guys have any other like big positives other than the ones that I pointed out.
The animation.
The animation, definitely. The opening, like you mentioned, that was like the first thing that I wrote down in my notes, was like, this movie has an incredible opening. It's like you mentioned, everything just seems to come together with the likable characters, and it's like, it feels like you're being swept along in this like magical journey. And then, yeah.
I think if they took the time to explain the world a little bit after that scene, and like with the war and everything in the wars and stuff like that, I think you would feel a little bit more comfortable with what's going on. But you get that amazing scene, and then you end up back in the hat shop, and all of a sudden she's cursed, and you're just like, why did that happen? And then all of a sudden she's in the wasteland. Why did that happen? And then all of a sudden she's in the castle, and then you keep going from there. So it's like, it's so close. It's so close to being so good.
Yeah, there's one thing that I do find as a positive with the film is when they show like the small details, like the little moments. And that's a lot of things that sometimes you don't find in animation. I guess it's something you'll find more with these experienced directors and I guess production studios, where they're doing they make it feel cinematic through animation. And that's something that we kind of laud Ghibli for doing, like obviously like the Shinkai films, like stuff that KyoAni does. They pay attention to like the details, and there's a bit more of they pay more attention to like the cinematography rather than a bunch of static wide shots, some like close-ups, like stuff that feels a little bit like what other animation is. And that I feel like that's something that this film does well. It's like just like the way they like cut through moments, like for example, when Sophie like wakes up and goes to check on Howl, she gets up, and like the way like they animate her, and then she puts on her shoes and like runs up the stairs, like lights the candle and runs up the stairs, like just like details, because it's like you understand really the environment she's in, and like these are things that she needs to do, but like it's not like the main driving point, but like they show the process like as a part of what she's going through and what she's doing. And it's just like details like that I think the movie does well.
I think another thing that kind of emphasizes that point is, Hal's cracking eggs and he drops the eggshells to Calcifer. Like normally,
Yeah.
the eggshells would just disappear, like you wouldn't think about it, but they take that like extreme attention to detail, feeding him the eggshells and stuff like that. It's like little things like that that you don't really think about, but it actually have like a really big impact on your viewing experience
There's a
as a
purpose
whole.
for like everything.
Every action has a purpose. It's not just they're not just doing things randomly. It's everything is motivated by something, which is actually I think another Ghibli film like Arrietty does really well. Just in terms, we talked about this too when we went and saw it. Just the sound direction, like how loud things will be for somebody that small, or like they have like the little tea kettle and it pours out like one drop, but that would be appropriate for someone of that size. And so Ghibli definitely does those little things like extremely well, for sure.
It's funny you bring up Arrietty, because that is one of the latest Ghibli films, and it's also like I think it was it after Ghibli got acquired by Disney? Because
I believe so, and I think his it wasn't his son, but it was like one of like the head like animators or whatever was like told to direct it. So it's not like specifically Miyazaki who's doing it, but like one of the higher ups who was like, this is your first film to kind of show what you got, sort of deal.
Like I guess the interesting about that is because I remember talking about the sound design in that film, being like so. Remember it being being so remarkable, and I remember looking it up because it was one of the later films, and it was actually done like at Skywalker Sound in Northern California. So like it's an actual like Disney probably said like, well, we're gonna bring it over here, we'll do the sound design and probably like the English dub as well, and they did an amazing job, honestly. Like the sound design in that film does do a lot. It's something you notice a little bit in this film as well, in terms of how it's not the same exact type of sound design in this film, but they do kind of highlight the moments that are important. So it's interesting to see the differences in like the, not ideology, but the methodology between like East and West in terms of how they tackle certain things. Like in this case, like the sound design in like these Eastern animations, sometimes it's like super simplistic and very small, not small as in like this, like how it feels, but like small in terms of like how much they put in it, because it's more of like what is necessary, versus here in the West, we're kind of like, make it seem realistic, and then in these moments, that's when we change things up, to make it feel different. So it's just interesting to see the differences, at least even in two Ghibli films.
Right.
Yeah. It's not only that; it's not only like audio wise, but visually too. Like a lot of Miyazaki films or Ghibli films are praised so much because of like the scenery and just the atmosphere of these films. And I think Howl's does this perfectly. And there's a scene in this movie that I wanted to bring up that I really loved, is where Sophie says like, as you get older you start to appreciate just the scenery a lot more. And it's like that entire sequence is just her kind of like wandering through the mountainsides, and just like you have these beautifully drawn backgrounds, and like there's this extreme emphasis on the art in the background. And I think that's something that you don't get a lot in like Western films. A lot of the attention is drawn towards the foreground, and it's like what are the characters doing at this certain point, and like what are they like, how can we draw your attention to the main characters, as opposed to how do we get the attention to everything that you're seeing on screen, rather than focusing your attention into a single point onto a single person. I think that this movie does that incredibly well too, with a lot of the action that happens later on in the film. You get these like huge battles where there's like hundreds of flying planes and all these explosions, and it's like you don't ever feel lost in a sense of like what's going on. You kind of are forced to take in the big picture of the movie at that point.
the contrast in the scenes too are also like extremely remarkable, right? So you go from, you know, Sophie and Hal looking on this beautiful lake scene, calm and serene, or them in the field with like all the flowers and stuff, and then instantly you get transported to the battle scenes where it's like dark and grimy, and you know, you can tell the difference in terms of like what's going on, and so just those contrasts is super remarkable and like stunning when you look at it, because you go from like green and bright and beautiful to like dank and dark and, you know, explosions and all those kinds of things. So it's the contrast is really stunning to kind of look at.
Yeah. And one thing that I feel that this movie does well in particular is making you believe the transitions between like the magical like teleportation essentially of when like they open a door and go somewhere. Like you don't, like you feel it being seamless. Like you don't feel like the odd contrast is like as like a flaw, because it doesn't take you out of the film. Like, you open a door and you're somewhere else. Like, but it just feels normal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, totally. Did you guys have a favorite scene in the movie? That was just a random question that I had before seeing this.
For me, it's probably the opening scene. Just them walking with the music. The music is like super dramatic. The other scene is the other thing that I mentioned is the climax. Her coming out of the door and like embracing Hal and saying like, I'm sorry I'm late. You know, let's fix this. I think those are my favorite. I think too, like I guess third or runner up or whatever is the kind of battle between Sullivan and Howell, because it's so like crazy and outlandish, but they're wizards and that's how it should be. So those I think are my top three.
Yeah, I would agree with the opening scene and the battle between the two, and also kind of the sequence afterwards. So it's like there's the battle between the two, and then there's the flying part and like kind of everything that happens, and like they're showing what's going on while they're trying to find him, and like just like the animation there was really nice.
Yeah, definitely. Have you guys ever read the books?
No.
You guys ever read the books? Mm-mm. I almost want to now. So, like I mentioned, I was sort of, you know, trying to do some more like deep diving into like what other people thought in this movie as well, and I knew that there were books based on the movie, but I didn't realize that the majority of people really enjoyed the books and couldn't recommend them more. So I'm kind of curious to read these and check them out.
I can see why. Just the whole like lightning pace of the movie. I bet you the books probably fleshed it out way better.
For sure. The whole like I love fantasy, and so like the whole idea of this like fantasy world that is like at war is really interesting to me. Without the romance aspects, I think the romance aspects fit, and I think they're good. But just the whole world and the lore behind it, I bet would be really interesting.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. All right. Well, any final thoughts on the film? Do you guys recommend this film, or would you recommend another Miyazaki film?
Ooh. I think I would probably like it's in probably my top 5 films, Miyazaki films, but maybe number 5. There are definitely better ones. There are also definitely worse ones. But don't go into it like psychoanalyzing or like analyzing everything like kind of like we did, and you'll enjoy yourself. If you're gonna nitpick it's not a good film. Like it has positive points, but just the story is not good in the way that it is told, and I guess I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I wouldn't even put this in my top 5 if we're being honest. For me, I feel like it's one of my least favorite Miyazaki films. I can think of basically like a bunch of.
I gotta know your number 1 now. I gotta know.
Probably Princess Mononoke.
Yeah,
That's two for me for sure.
that's
I
my
can see.
number one.
So I love Spirited Away. Just
This Spirited Away is my number 2. So
Spirited Away is just it's could talk about that forever. Maybe when we're done with our next order share, we watch another movie. That's like tradition now.
That was going to be my next question to you guys. Is,
Yeah, we can watch some
you know,
Mononoke or some Spirited Away and debate those.
Yeah, like I said at the beginning, I really like this film. I think it'd probably be top 5 for me. More so for the nostalgia reason, and just
I think so for me too.
Spirited Away is it's a great film by itself. Not to mention all of like the nostalgia attached to it. But I think this film, it's more the sense of wonder that I got out of this film at the time when I first watched it. That it holds a special place in my heart. I actually have a piece of art on my wall that's of Howl's Moving Castle. So yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites. But I completely agree with you guys. There's a better Ghibli films out there. So
Oh yeah, I think we were gonna ask too, Mark. Did you guys watch the sub or the dub?
I watched
yeah.
the sub.
I watched the dub.
I've seen the dub before, so that's why I watched the sub this time.
I've seen both,
seen both.
but I was watching with Liz, and she prefers the dub, so that is what we watched. Yeah.
Yeah, with Batman.
Edgelord Christian Bale, and Billy Crystal.
Crystal. Yeah, it's so funny because the last time I watched this movie, I watched the dub, and I was thinking, I was like, who is Calcifer's voice? I was like, I know this guy. I was like, I know who it is.
Yeah.
And then I looked it up. I was like, of course. Why couldn't I think about that? Like,
That's the cool thing. That's the cool thing about Ghibli films is they always get top tier voice actors, even for the English dubs, which is super cool. I know I hate Ponyo, but it has like an all star cast. It has like Tina Fey, Matt Damon, Liam Neeson. Like it has like a top tier cast.
Disney handles the localizations,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
of course they're gonna
They
get
get the top tier talent. That's right.
you don't like Ponyo? Man, I love that film.
I hate Ponyo. Ugh.
Really?
Ugh.
What is your least favorite Ghibli movie then?
Ponyo, for
Ponyo?
sure.
Okay, it's
For sure. It's not even close.
wow. All right.
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I'm like tempted to say like what I think Castle Cagliostro, but only because I've fallen asleep watching that movie like 3 times.
Well, then there you go. Yeah, that's gonna be your least favorite movie. You can't.
I think I've tried to
it.
watch it. I think I've tried to watch it like 3 times. It's like it's good, it's captivating, but I always seem to watch like some of these movies like late at night, and it's like I
fall
just
asleep.
prone to fall asleep. Yeah, I'm sorry if
that's
anybody's a really big fan of that movie.
They're gonna crucify you, dude.
Like, wow, you're an idiot. You're dumb. You need to watch that movie.
What's yours, Rolando? What's your least favorite?
I don't know, honestly. Like it's been a while since I've seen a bunch of them, so I kind of actually do want to revisit.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to judge when, especially after rewatching this film and not enjoying it as much.
Sure.
Like
sure.
I kind of want to go back to some of the ones I did not enjoy as much and rewatch them and see kind of how everything fares.
That's fair. I'm scared to watch Spirited Away again because I hope it doesn't have. I don't think it would just because it's far less complicated than the world of Howl. You're just kind of like thrown into this world and you understand why you're there, and it progresses well. So I don't think it would have that, but
No,
I hope if we rewatch it doesn't lose the magic.
Did that
I
also
watched
win an
Spirited
Oscar?
Away like last
So,
year. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it holds up to how highly we regard the film. I watched it like a couple months ago, last year sometime, and I still really enjoyed it. Like,
Yeah.
I love the hell out of it.
I haven't seen it since 2008, I want to say.
It's been a while for me.
been a
That's
while.
probably around the same time for me.
And it's not like it was new in 2008. So like, and I still remember a lot of it, and I
Yeah.
remember it being really good.
Yeah. So I think all the Ghibli films are on, HBO Max, or if you have Plus, or if you have Disney Plus, I think.
Disney Plus, I think, yeah.
So, I say we take a crack at another Ghibli film.
I think it's a good idea. This was fun. I mean, it's different from what we usually do, and anytime I can convince Liz to watch anime, I think that's a good a good excuse. Especially because you go into it right and you say like it's like Disney but like Japan, and that like sells a lot of people on it.
It's Disney now, so.
Well, now it is Disney, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also like on Netflix, but not in the U.S. So
Yeah,
you
I think it's just
got one of them VPNs.
streaming, like whatever services are available per country, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think-
or you can rent it on Amazon, as Alex said.
Yeah, I think at least with if like we do more watching of these films, it would be interesting to kind of explore some of the not as well known films and kind of see like maybe even like analyze it and see what differentiates it from the ones that everyone always
The
like,
mainstream,
remembers.
yeah. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, cool. Well, then I guess we'll look forward to having some more Ghibli discussions.
Maybe not just Ghibli, but
We could branch out.
No.
Yeah.
Only
No,
Ghibli all the time.
Just Ghibli.
Ghibli all the time, every time. All right. Well, let's move on. Let's start talking about these beers. We are drinking the We Love You San Diego double IPA from Modern Times. San Diego. Yeah. This is as I said earlier, this is off of their their special releases. We were fortunate enough to pick some up. They are, once again knock it out of the park with the great can art. I was really curious. Do you guys know what the heck that thing is over there? I don't ever remember seeing that in San Diego. What is that thing next to the paraglider? Or sorry, whatever. This
I don't
guy-
know.
I don't know.
I just
I
noticed.
thought it was
the
like the
giant
lighthouse.
burrito.
Like,
No.
but that is not a lighthouse. It looks like Sauron's eye.
Sauron's eye off the Statue of Liberty.
Mount Soledad. I don't know.
I don't know.
I
I
don't
can
know
recognize we
either.
got downtown. We got the
We got giant
military
burritos in the
military
sky.
base
That's
downtown.
San
We got
Diego.
the Del Mar
Dolphins
Fairgrounds.
with lasers.
Laser beams attached to their freaking heads.
And Belmont Park,
Belmont
the
Park.
Midway, Barrio Logan. You got everything.
Got everything in here, yeah.
Yeah.
No Petco
Golden
Park.
Hill. The Golden Lion. We don't talk about Petco Park.
Well then.
You got a UFO. How about that? You got aliens
what's
in
a
San
UFO?
Diego. Look at there.
Many aliens.
There's military bases in San Diego. Of course, we've got UFOs in the military.
Oh, they have haunted Old Town with the ghosts.
Yeah, what's with
The
the
Whaley
cars
House?
sticking out of that building? You
I,
guys
I,
see
do,
that?
I don't know the history behind that. No,
Wait,
I
of the
don't
what?
either.
it's like right here.
Is it the
there's
skate
like
rink? There's like a car
car.
just crashed into a building. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
right to the north, to the right of the North Park sign.
Yeah, you got people here that grew up in San Diego and they can't even recognize some of the stuff.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. It's like the Portland one last week.
Except Drew recognized almost everything from that.
Because I did live in Portland. There was a time.
I feel like that was a little bit less busy than this one is. Everything.
There was less stuff on the Portland one for sure. But Portland is also not as big of a city as San Diego, so there's also that.
Oh, there's that. Yeah, that may play a factor into including
You
things
know.
like dolphins
You
with
know.
laser beams on their heads. So.
You know.
Dude,
You
in
kinda miss out on some
in
stuff.
these air hangars, there are UFOs.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, why?
Everybody knows that.
The dolphins with the laser beams though on the heads, that's the best part.
It sets it off, sets it apart. It's beautiful.
All right.
Everyone knows that there are
let me get your
dolphins with
thoughts on
laser
these
beams on
beers.
the head.
Freaking laser beams. You gotta dolphins with freaking laser beams. Let me get you guys' thoughts on this beer. Drew, why don't you go first? Our DIPA expert.
This is not one that Alec would like.
No, definitely not. 100%.
Sorry, Alec.
I'm sorry I made you, or I split this with you, I guess. But I guess look forward to drinking it.
It is like you take a West Coast IPA and you make it you double it to get a double, and then you haze it. So it is super West Coast. It is super piney. It is super dank.
As like it does have that malt finish.
Super malty finish. It is bitter, and it is all of those things that I described are things that I love and things that Alec does not like. So I'm sitting here drinking this, and all I could think of was like, wow, Alec would hate this, and I know that he is getting a couple of these, and I feel bad.
Yeah. Sorry, Alec. You do have 2 of them.
A rip in chat.
Rip in chat.
Yeah, I think Drew explained it best, because I remember. So I drank last night. I had one of the Mosaic Hedge Witches that I picked up another 4-pack of.
I got another 4-pack as well.
And then I had this afterwards, and I remember tasting it, and I was like, "Whoa, this is like a way different take on a hazy double IPA than the Mosaic Hedge Witch," and it's interesting. Drew kind of nailed it with it. Feels a lot like a West Coast IPA, but it's hazy.
McKellar does a lot of beers like this. I don't know. It's like I said. It is like West Coast. You get the orange peel. You get the pine. It is like wet and dank. But at the same time, like super drinkable because it is in like the hazy format. Mm-hmm. There's definitely subtle hints of like tropical, but like super hop forward, super pine, super like orange peel, bitterness. This is not. We say this a lot. This is not a beginner DIPA. This is a brutal boy, and it is also 8%. So
it is a double. It'll get you. I do when were yours brewed? Mine says October 6th, or actually canned. I mean,
mine says October 6th and
the 6th as well.
Okay, so we got, I guess, the same batch, so it's a pretty even. I want to say dispersion. I don't know if dispersion is the right word.
Distribution.
Distribution. Thank you.
Well, these were all brewed in San Diego, and it's like on the side of the can, it's like brewed in San Diego. So they were probably all brewed at the same batch and distributed where it needed to go for the special release. So, just like the Anaheim one, the Portland one, they'll say brewed in Portland and stuff. So they originate at the same spot and then disperse.
Yeah. I do say that the can art on this is absolutely amazing. Like, we keep coming back to it, but
I missed out on the glass version of it. They didn't have any when I was there.
The can art is amazing.
Yeah, I looked for the glass version of it too. It seemed to sell out like super quick.
I settled for the Mosaic Hedge, which I'm like, I'll take that. That's like a win in my book.
When they said there was Mosaic Hedge Witch left at the Dankness Dojo, I made sure to get some, and I made sure to tell Mark that he could pick some up when he got.
I did.
When he got his
I almost
order.
got 2 4-packs.
I almost did too.
I was fortunate enough to pick up the barley wine. I think that they had it's a barley wine aged in bourbon barrels. I picked up the last one of those. So
you did?
I did, yeah. I picked up the last one. The guy was like, "Yeah, we had one just sitting in the back." So he's like, "You're a lucky guy." Like,
damn, dude.
Take it.
Nice.
I'll take it.
Mine is cellaring right now.
Nice.
With my Firestone beers, the single year ones.
We might have to break out some Firestone beers. I got some aging too,
Yeah.
and it's like I feel like we need to bust them out. But it's like 17%, and that is like
And mine's
that
been
is
sitting
that is a
there
big
for a year, so
that is a big boy.
oh, we'll see. We'll see what.
Seems like we need to do a Sunday afternoon
Yeah.
stream and drink.
that might
Yeah.
be the
Yeah,
the
call
way
an
to go
audible
for
way.
those. Yeah.
Maybe we could do that for the next our next Ghibli film that we do.
There you go.
Yeah.
How about that, guys?
It's great ideas, Mark.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll just give my quick thoughts. What you guys already said is pretty accurate. Like it's dank, but man, does it hit you with some pine and some hops.
Punches you with it.
Yeah, it just
It's
kinda
intense.
makes you pucker up a little bit, but it's really enjoyable. Like it's not as pillowy and sweet as the hedge witch, because I drank one of those last night too. And that is just like super easy to go down. Like you just want to just keep drinking that, but this is sort of like you're sipping on it and enjoying it, but also it's refreshing still. So you're just kind of along for the ride, you know?
Yep.
I don't know. I enjoy this. I'll enjoy the rest of this, but I would much rather have the hedge witch for sure. Yeah.
I agree.
Final thoughts, rating then, Drew?
I really like this because this is just like what I said. This is the definition of a West Coast IPA from San Diego. They just hazed it, which is something that I'm about these days. As you know, I'm a big fan of the hazy IPAs, and it does a lot of things really well. I think where it loses points is probably in the mouthfeel, like what you described for the Hedge Witch. It is like velvety and it is just smooth and delicious. On top of all of the amazing flavors that it brings, this leaves you kind of that side of your mouth, side of your tongue bitterness, which is pretty common for this style of beer, especially for a DIPA. So I think maybe that's where it loses points. Maybe I'm holding it too high of a standard because the Hedge Witch like spoiled us. It's like, what are we gonna do when we run out of those?
So soon too, though. Yeah. So recent.
I guess
I know.
there's the non-mosaic version that they brew, but
Yeah, for sure. So no, but this is very good. This is a 7.5 for me. I don't know. It embodies San Diego, but with 4.75. God.
Hold on, before you continue.
Nice bird.
4.75.
I was like, damn, dude,
You
that's
heard
a
it.
pretty high fucking rating right there. Out
You
of
heard
5.
it here first, folks.
The first
Big-
7.5 out of 5.
I just got so nostalgic for San Diego that it made me
Jumped up
just go
another
above and beyond, just like where we've never been before. No, but this is very good. This reminds me of, or I should say, this is like perfect for like modern times because they are like a SoCal San Diego brewery, kind of growing up on the West Coast IPA, but now
Yeah.
changing it a little bit for the times. And this beer kind of embodies that.
The modern times.
Modern.
The modern time. Got nothing left to say.
Cue the Seinfeld music. Ba-ding, boom.
Oh, you mean the yesterday music?
Yeah, that's it. Yes, yesterday music. Rolando, final thoughts and ratings.
I'm kind of with Drew here. It's not perfect, but if we remember, it was at the Modern Times 7th anniversary. I
I also picked up a 4-pack of that.
I thought that beer could go one of two directions. It could go more towards like the West Coast bitterness, or more towards the sweet hazy, which is kind of what they did with the Mosaic Hedge Witch. And then I think this is kind of like the opposite direction. It's
Yeah,
not as
definitely
sweet,
agree.
but you do get a lot more of the West Coast IPA like piney bitterness. And where I will kind of detract from it is what Drew mentioned. The mouthfeel and that bitterness that it leaves, it's like very resiny. And while that's great in a non-hazy IPA, because it leaves your mouth after like a second, this lingers, and because it's a hazy and the mouthfeel, it's like it's so juicy and thick. So that is where I'll fault it. But I do enjoy the other direction towards like the more bitter side, and so I think I'll give this a 4 or 5.
I think this is a better beer than the MT7. And I think I rated that like either a 5 or a 4.75. This is a better beer than that, for exactly the reason you said. It is on the danker pioneer side that we wanted that beer to go to, but it is the other direction, which is like you said, the Mosaic Hedge, which is like perfection. So
Yeah.
it's hard.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. This is sort of filling in the gaps of where we wanted the MT7 to go. It's like either you go big or go home, or you go easy on it and have something like super drinkable and like really easy. This is like just packing some more hops into it and just throwing a little bit of that dank feel to it. I do like this, and I think for the reason that you mentioned earlier is that Drew, is that it does remind me of like San Diego
Yeah.
IPAs. It's like it's sort of this nostalgic feel, but it's keeping up with modern changes, and people's palates have been moving sort of towards like this like haze craze. Yeah, I like this beer. I'll give it like a 4.75. I think it's pretty good. Not quite as good as the Hedge Witch, because I mean I feel like I gave that. I don't know if I gave it a 5. I should have given it a 5. But yeah, this is pretty good.
Mark, could you point at your shirt really quick?
This is
Umai!
yeah, nice. Yeah, and again, so for you know the listeners out there, our viewers, we've been reviewing like the Modern Times special release beers. If you're not signed up for their blog, which they release every couple of weeks, I think like twice a month around is what they're doing.
They've been doing every 2 weeks.
And
Yeah,
if you don't live in
to-
California or
Yeah.
DC, this isn't.
Portland.
It's going to be tough to get. So
Yeah.
either find a friend and you have friends with us, or you know just sign up for the blog and see if you can get lucky with getting a release somewhere. So yeah, sign up for them, get notified of when the releases go live, and then you can either get it shipped to a nearby tasting room or have them delivered to you if you're in California.
Or DC.
Or not the releases, but you can have some of their stuff delivered.
Yeah. So
Just drink Modern Times beer. It's good.
yeah, just move to
keep
California
drinking.
real quick, and then
And then just
Yeah.
move back. Yeah, you're good.
you're good. You're
Yeah.
good.
Set up a PO box only for beer deliveries.
I don't think they'll do that because you have to
do that.
pick up
I'm
the
just
beers. But
I'm kidding. All right. Well, yeah. So again, this is We Love You, San Diego.
We do love you, San
Double
Diego.
IPA.
We do.
We do. I know. I was like,
We do.
yeah, I do love San Diego. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into some news now. Let's start off with Funimation has changed the streaming schedule for Assault Lily Bouquet to Fridays. Apparently, there were some delays in the delivery of materials to Funimation, which resulted in delays last week. So the future changes will be there for the remainder of the series.
It's a Shaft show, right? Interesting that Shaft is running into delay issues because they are not usually somebody who does.
Yeah, it seemed kind of odd for a Shaft show, especially for such a big show that has what seems to be like a lot of backing to it. I don't know, kind of curious if there was any sort of, I don't know, it's possibly like COVID,
COVID related
studios,
more than likely.
still.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least it's only been delayed like 2 days, so it's not like a huge.
yeah, it's not like it got
huge mix-up.
delayed
Sure.
for the rest of the
Exactly.
season or something.
Exactly. Next on the news, we have Evangelion's final film titled Evangelion.
Oh, it's gonna
3.0
come.
plus 1.0 thrice.
It's coming out.
Are you sure?
It's coming
released
out, boys.
Another teaser trailer, an official release date for January 23rd. So it was pushed back from June, I think, like the end of June. It's now January 23rd.
Why you remember when we talked about this on the show in the news back earlier this year? And I think Drew said it's gonna come out June. And I was like, no, it's not.
No, definitely not. No.
You guys, I don't think you guys understand like how much I'm gonna lose my mind for like the month that this movie comes out, and how I'm gonna like not understand any part of it, but just like love every second of it, because that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah. What do you remember from the previous films?
They're streaming them. They're going to be streaming them, the previous films, so you can watch them again.
So movie number 1, faithful to the anime. It is almost a 1-to-1.
I agree.
Movie number 2 is close. They add a new character, and it starts to diverge towards the end. You don't have a couple of the characters like switch roles and stuff like that. That's fine. Movie number 3, who the fuck knows?
I haven't seen. Yeah. So
I don't know.
Maybe that's what we need to watch, because the third, like the first 2 movies are like amazing, like super good on their own. Movie 3, very bizarre, and there is a lot to like analyze in that, just because of all the crazy shenanigans that Anno gets into. The 4th movie, I have no idea what they're gonna do. None. Absolutely none.
Here's what I have to say. And I remember following this thing. Alec has actually seen the first film. I know he says he hasn't seen Evangelion before, but he's seen the first film because we watched it together at Comic-Con years ago.
First film's dope.
It's pretty faithful to the anime, like you said. I do think that since Alec hasn't seen all of Evangelion, we should watch the original series and the Death and Rebirth and everything, like the original stuff, and then watch this movie series and compare it.
I think that would be like such amazing. It would be such amazing content.
It wouldn't be like week to week. You would have to like find time to like watch a lot of stuff.
It would be such good content, because there is so much shit going on in those shows, and then even to compare them then to the movies, it's insanity. So I think we should. We need to find the time to do it, because I think the content and the discussion that we could have on the show would be like top tier, just because of all the shit that's going on in those shows. It's crazy.
I've seen the original 3 times.
Yeah,
the original anime and the movies.
I'm slowly watching the original with my girlfriend, so I mean, I'm totally down to do that and just keep watching it all.
It's a journey, I'll say that, but it is. I think it is one worth taking.
Weird, because Evangelion is one of the first non like Sailor Moon or Dragon Ball anime that I had seen growing up. Yeah. And it's kind of like an anime to
it's like mecha.
No wonder I'm just playing.
You're so fucked up in the head, right? That's what you're trying to say.
The crazy thing about the show, and then I'll say this and then we can move on, is that it's mecha, right? Yeah. It is branded as mecha, but it's also has nothing to do with mecha, and that's what makes the show like fucking crazy. That's what makes it crazy.
I think my favorite thing that's related to Evangelion is that whenever people ask Ano about like some of the intricacies of it, they're just like, "Oh, did you really like study exactly like Judeo-Christian theology like when you were doing this? Because like it all matches up." He's like, honestly, like we didn't fucking think of anything. Like we just did it.
We just did it because it's what we wanted to do.
Thought it looked cool, all right? And then it just like mind fucks people so much that they just don't believe anything that he says.
God,
that's great. That's great.
Like no, he's lying. He's trolling.
I don't know. Do you guys think that this will be the end of the film?
Yes,
it's called
Evangelion?
It's called End of Evangelion, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's what it says.
Like the ending trilogy.
They have to end it here because of where they ended the 3rd movie. There's nowhere else to go except to end it. So I hope they end it. It needs to, I'm gonna keep going because
I hope it doesn't end in applause.
I have a love-hate relationship. I have a love-hate relationship with Evangelion, right? So I remember I was fresh out of college, and 3.33 was coming out, or 3.0, and I had to.
That's so long ago.
It's so long ago. That was 2012. Like that's when the last movie came out, and I had to
2021.
I had to torrent the movie so I could watch it the day that it came out, and I had to get fan subs, and I had to superimpose them over the fucking the fucking movie file so that I could
subtract.
Yes,
track.
exactly. That is exactly what I did. I went into VLC and I added the subtrack that I downloaded off of Reddit or somewhere in order to watch this movie, because it was back then, and that's what you had to do.
What you had to do back then. Yeah.
And I remember watching it, and I was watching this movie, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Because it had nothing to do with the anime. It had nothing to do with the other movies. It was just like this third movie, and it was just like, these characters look familiar, but I have no idea what the fuck is going on.
I remember watching the first movie, and I was like, oh, this is like pretty faithful to the anime, what I remember. And then there's like, oh, there's a second one that's coming out, and then there's a third one, and then there will be a fourth one. And I'm like, oh, like they're planning to all come out within a year of each other. I'm gonna wait until all of them come out before watching them.
A bad idea.
And then over 10 years later,
it was like, I need to see when 3.3 came out. When did it?
Oh god,
a rookie mistake.
Yeah. I actually just forgot about.
Yeah, 2012. I was right.
Yeah.
I was right. 2012. That is when it came out.
It's
That is 8 years
ridiculous.
ago. 8 years for a movie.
It's gonna be 9 years now.
That's what I'm saying.
got delayed.
We gotta
God.
rewatch the older movies. I mean, they're gonna be streaming. I think in like December. They're starting in December. They're gonna be on like streaming platforms.
I
so.
own. All right, so if we want to do a watch party for the original series, I do own the DVDs for the original series.
It's on Netflix right now, right?
It is on Netflix.
That's what I've been.
So-
watching it.
Yeah.
So I kind of was going to do the same thing that you were going to do, Rolando. I was like, I want to buy the full box Blu-rays of the movies. Like the show's fine, whatever. But I wanted the movies. But they won't come out, so I can't do that.
Yeah, because
still,
you
still
have to
waiting.
have another movie to come out before you can have a box set.
Still waiting.
Just imagine if
we'll
you
wait.
pre-ordered that whole box set back in like 2008 or whatever.
I have a love-hate relationship with Anno.
What has Studio Khara been doing this whole time?
Nothing. Literally nothing.
Definitely, I don't think there's anything. All right, we need to move on. All right, next bit of flipping the script here. Wotakoi Love is Hard for Otaku is getting an OVA. I'm sorry, it's not a second season. You're getting really excited. But there will be a limited edition release of the anime and the latest volume, which will come out on February 26th. The series is currently streaming on Amazon Prime for anybody who hasn't seen the series yet. I highly recommend. Wando definitely recommends.
Definitely
it as well.
watch it.
All right. In manga news, Fujino Omori, the author of Danmachi, will be releasing a new manga titled Sueto Tsurugi no Historia, or Historia of Staves and Swords. Toshi Aoi will be doing the art for the manga and will be released in the Satsu Shonen magazine on December 9th. So that's a new one. I saw some of the art. Actually looks pretty good, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. And that's going to be like a fantasy manga. Next up, Weekly Shonen Jump announced that it is releasing an isekai-themed one-shot manga of current running series. Reiji Miyajima, the author of Rent-A-Girlfriend, already released his chapter last week. I haven't read it, but I'm kind of looking forward to it. Other authors in the series include Masakuni Igarashi of Senryu Girl, Kei Sasuga of Domestic Girlfriend, Yosuke Kaneda of Boarding School Juliet, and Koji Seo of Hitman. And in other random news, the Monster Hunter film released a trailer for the upcoming movie in December, and it has an isekai plotline. Did you guys watch this trailer?
Sure did.
Just fabulous, Max. It's just amazing. I wasn't expecting this.
I fucking swear I've seen a trailer of this film before because I knew Mila Jovovich was in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes you have to ask like why people are like, why you're doing these kinds of things. Like, why does Monster Hunter need a movie? And the answer is it doesn't.
It doesn't need a movie.
and it definitely doesn't need to be an isekai.
With American military of all
Shooting RPGs.
100% know that someone
It's universal film.
someone said like, oh, you need to add military into this. You can't have a fantasy thing. That doesn't sell.
Is it
We need
is
guns.
it that hard? Yeah, we need guns to fight giant monsters. But get this, the guns don't work.
Yeah. What other film franchise have you seen that happen? Transformers. So there you go.
Transformers.
Needed guns.
Yep. I don't know, man. I think my expectations for this movie were pretty low to begin with, and I feel like they did the impossible and just set them even lower.
What does
So-
Sony have with Mila Jovovich that she has to be in every
Resident
video game
Evil and
Resident Evil. Yeah. But I actually love Mia Jovovich. For some reason, I think she's great.
movie? Yeah,
she's a good actress for sure.
she just
plays
typecast
that role
as video
She's
game
typecast, yeah.
video game protagonist.
Yeah, she plays the role. Plays it well.
Unfortunately,
I know, right? But hey, she's making millions of
yeah,
dollars.
she's fine. She's fine. She's doing okay.
She's cool. All right. Well, that does it for our news. Let's move into our happy hour. We last week said that we were going to be discussing our next Orishiri show. We put up a poll on our Discord. We had some people vote, and these are our top picks: Death Note, Kimi ni Todoke, and Monogatari season 2.
Second season.
Is that what it?
Second
It's not really the second. It's not really season 2, but
called-
it's the second.
That's what they call it. That's what they call it.
Thank you. Second season. Bless.
Thank you.
Bless you, my good man.
Blessies.
Yeah. We were kind of discussing this a little bit earlier. Death Note, we've all seen, I believe. You guys have all seen that, correct?
Alec has.
Alec has not seen it. If you have not seen Death Note, then yes, 100% I would say you need to watch it. It's one of those classics, it's like one of those classic anime that, everybody talks about. It's loved the world over. But I think that we have, like each of us, as we were talking about this earlier, we have our gripes with like the second half of the show. And I think it's a little hard to bring that into discussion, especially if we're all kind of not as invested in it at that point. So I don't know how you guys feel about Death Note. But
I
let's just
still
move on
think that it's a good show to rewatch,
yeah.
but I don't know. I don't know if I personally would pick it of the 3 shows.
Okay.
Agree.
And I was going to ask you guys, like, have you seen Kimi ni Todoke?
No,
No.
I have not. I have not either.
that is why I nominated it.
Yeah, I did as well. I think that's a good pick because it's something that I haven't seen. I had a feeling you guys hadn't seen that as well.
It's a different genre than, yeah, exactly. Romance.
Genre
big-
we normally cover. So
Big Anavu.
oh, Drew bringing that big Yankee energy over here.
That's right. Huge Genki energy right now.
And then the Monogatari's second season. I haven't seen it, but you guys have.
I've seen half of it.
You've seen half of it.
Drew knows
So
why
I
I stopped watching it.
I gotta pitch second season here because I've seen it. It is they're all very good. This is probably the best season of Monogatari. After this, it starts to get a little bit convoluted, but in a good way. And the episodes and things kind of all start to blend together where you have to watch like some movies and you have to watch, like a bunch of stuff like in like sequential order for it to make sense. And this is kind of like the last season where it's like, it makes sense just to watch it like how it is. That probably doesn't make sense because, but
Yeah, I'm like, okay. Yeah.
it is very good, and if you don't like Monogatari after you watch this season, you will not like the rest of Monogatari. So it's kind of like decider, whereas like Nisei is like really fun in terms of, you get the two sisters and you get like that interaction. This hashes out the story of the main characters once you get past the part that Rolando was talking about. but you need that for later, and that's all I'll say about it.
I get it. It's just that I don't like this character, so
it's fair, but you need it for later. It's very important, and once you get past that, you start getting into like some like really meaningful interactions between the characters, and it's like super fun to watch. Especially the end of the arc, the end of the season is like so good. It is like ridiculously good, and I can't say anything about it because it would totally ruin it. But
I want to watch
it's awesome.
it.
I mean,
I do.
Mark and I have been talking about just watching it in general,
Yeah.
like in our spare time during the week, because we do tend to do some like watch-alongs, whether it's in the Discord or not. So we were talking about like the other week, like even if this wasn't the show that we discussed, we were probably gonna watch it anyways, just to kind of like continue on.
Yeah, because
I think
I've been wanting to watch it and like for a while now, probably since last year, or I guess beginning of the year when you finished Nisei, and I'm like, damn, I want to continue it, but I don't know if we're gonna watch it or Shiri. So
I would say if we don't pick it, let's maybe do the Discord thing. Maybe after Clannad, we can get everybody kind of in this, or maybe we just do it, independently. Yeah. But
whoever wants to come watch, we'll
I think you guys will enjoy it because, like I said, it is like the turning point for the series, and it is like once you get past, Rolando, I know you don't like the first part of it, but once you get past it, it is like super excellent. But it has all the negatives of Monogatari, right? It is a lot of reading. It is a lot of understanding the language and like the alliterations and all the different puns and jokes that they're making, along with like the theme of Araragi and his journey through adolescence and things. So it is a lot, but I think the journey's worth it. But I will always say that because I love Monogatari. So.
Yeah, I have to climb the wall. Of the beginning of second season.
If you guys couldn't tell, I really like Evangelion and I really like Monogatari. Those are like my two favorite shows. So I got a lot to say about them.
I think we've noticed in this episode.
Well, I guess, should we maybe sidebar Death Note for this run in favor of voting on these two?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
Alec is in chat.
Yeah.
I don't know what
sort
his
of
thoughts
inclined,
are.
I guess Kimi ni Todoke
or Monogatari second season.
Monogatari second season. Can we get a quick synopsis of Kimi ni Todoke real quick?
All I can kind of remember of the synopsis of it is like there's a girl that's not really like popular or noticed in her class, and she gets like noticed by like a guy that's a little bit more like popular in the class, and then like they develop a relationship together. And
I have the Wikipedia plot synopsis here. So takes place in Hokkaido, so northern Japan. 15-year-old high school freshman. She resembles the character from The Ring and has always been feared and misunderstood because of her appearance. Rumors around the school report that she can see ghosts and curse people. However, despite her ominous appearance, she's actually a sweet and unassuming girl who only longs to be helpful. She has been shunned for so long that the idea of making friends has become foreign to her. When a boy, the popular boy, begins talking with her, everything changes. She finds herself in a new world, making friends and talking to different people, and she can't thank the boy enough for giving her these opportunities. Slowly but surely, a sweet love blossoms between the two and overcomes circumstances and obstacles that stand in their way. So, romance.
Basically, you just, I just gave the short version, the succinct version of it.
Yeah. You did all right.
You just made it a little bit more clear.
It's more eloquent.
More Wikipedia. Less from.
That's right.
I don't know. I'm really leaning towards this because next season we're getting Horimiya, and I'm like really looking forward to that show, which kind of sounds a little bit similar to this. I'm not gonna lie. But
I am leaning towards Kimi ni Todoke because we all haven't seen it,
I agree.
and it's also a genre we don't normally do.
Yep. Definitely. That's why I voted for it. I think it's something that we always crave more of, right? Like we always talk about when we get a good like romance show, it's like we want more of that. And that's what like drew me to this, and I think this would be something like really good to talk about. That's not something that we usually do, so.
And Mark and I
All right.
kind of already plan on watching Monogatari anyways, so
then I think that kind of settles it. Alec just chimed along in chat and said he's down to do Kimi ni Todoke. So then I guess if it's a unanimous, then we will be doing Kimi
do
ni
it.
Todoke.
all right.
It is. You said it's 26 episodes.
38.
20,
38?
Oh shit.
Many episodes.
So it's like
a
the
lot of
same length as
episodes.
Death Note.
All right. Well,
We should do a 2 a week thing.
Then let's do
Yeah.
that. Yeah, let's do 2 episodes a week. Next week we will be watching episodes 1 and 2 of Kimi ni Todoke.
Yeah.
And please follow us or join our Discord. That way you can follow along when we do watch Monogatari second season, because I'm very interested in watching it. If Orlando's down to watch it, if Alex also down to watch it too, I think we should start it up, and then Drew can lead us along in some more discussions on that later.
Maybe that'll be the after Clanad. Let's jump into that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're almost done with that.
definitely.
So.
We
Cool.
are almost done with Clanad. So yeah, if you're not in our Discord, please go to our website, just animeondraft.com. There's links to our Discord in there. If you're on Twitch, you can click on the Discord little button down below, and that way you can join us and then follow along whenever we're watching, and you get to hear our sweet voices when we watch stuff and chiming along with us. It's always good times in the rewatches. Yeah, it's always good times. All right. Well, I think that does it. So yeah, I'm glad we could figure that out. I'm really looking forward to Kimi ni Todoke. I can't get enough of like good romance shows. So yeah, it'll be a good one. All right. Well, let's move along to some current airing shows. And let's talk about Higurashi. I think that's one of the ones that we're all watching, always looking forward to talk about, because this show is like, it's a trip, man. I feel like I'm like cringing every few minutes of this episode. It's like, I don't like the tension that builds up between these like cute and innocent characters. I don't know about you guys, but it really just puts me on edge the entire episode. It's like not a whole lot really happens.
I have to say this captures a lot of the vibe and charm of the original, and I'm glad that you guys kind of see this new series remake, and it's not like you have to watch the original, because they're purposely making it a little different to entice people who've seen it before, but also it's just something that people like you guys can come in completely new and enjoy. And I'm glad that it's keeping some of the same vibe. So like Drew, I don't know how you feel about like these first 3 episodes, but
Like Mark mentioned, the tension is like so high, because you get like happy-go-lucky Genki kids like running around, and then like all of a sudden it'll just like fucking cut, and like Reina-chan in like this last episode, Kiichi he calls her out and she's like, you bitch has been lying to me, and then it just like cuts and like the music stops and you just like see her like going off on him, and it's just like that tension is like so good, and then like switches and then she's back to like Genki happy-go-lucky, like let's go, and it's like, and it is just like it is so creepy, and it is like so well done. The thing that I also liked about this most recent episode too is the cop, and just like the way that he talks is like, I don't know how to describe it, but it is like he's like almost like a narrator, but he's like creepy at the same time, but he's also like giving him like a lot of like useful information, and so you don't know how to like think about this character.
It's almost like he's setting you up, like he's leading you on, and he's giving you all this information, but you also are wary of him for some reason. It's like, I don't
he
know
kind of reminds me of like, like these true crime shows, like where the narrator says like, and then 3 days later the whole family was murdered or whatever. It's like, he has like that sort of vibe to him, and it is just like, it is like so perfect for this show.
You know what it is? You're watching Mindhunter, right?
Yep.
You know when they're talking to Ed Kemper, and he seems like a semi like normal dude, and he's been talking to the police, like, but he was the one who committed all these murders. It's sort of like the vibe that I'm getting.
Sure, yeah, I can see it.
God.
This is why I'm glad they kept the original voice cast.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Oh, I love that.
Interesting.
Oh,
That is really interesting.
It's so good. And despite the tension, it's like you crave more of it, right? Because you got to know what happens, and they set you up so perfectly, right? The first like 5 minutes of the show, you have him just like fucking slashing people. There's blood everywhere. At the end of the show, the ED, you see like some of the same sort of images, and then like in between that, it's just all these like happy-go-lucky, we're in this club and we do like fun stuff together, and man, I'm just waiting for it to explode. And it's like, I'm like craving that like switch, and it's like not happening, and they're drawing you along, and it's just like, come on, but you also don't want it because you like that. And
the first episode is really what will pull you into the show or not, because like it's honestly a very faithful recreation of the original, but something, or like there's like one or two things that are slightly different that hints to you that it could be a different thing, and then like eventually we find out in the second episode that it is a slightly different like sort of retelling. It's like a different arc. They call it. It's like it has a different title to the arc that is similar to the original arc, and so it's just like, if you haven't watched the first episode, like this is probably what will sell you or not on the show. And they do, for original fans of the show, have the original opening as the ending for the first episode, which is so nostalgic. It's
That's
so
cool.
good.
Yeah, I love that.
this is a really cool show.
This is sort of reminding me of like early Shinsekai Yori, where it's like, God, I want to just keep watching this show. Like, it just begs to be binged, but I can't, and
You
now
can't.
I'm just left
You gotta wait.
left wanting more.
You're forced to wait.
It's awful. I mean, well, I guess you could go back and watch the original, but I'm sure things.
I would say hold off on that. Like, you want to watch, you want to experience. I feel like this is something you're gonna want to experience for the first time.
I'm enjoying experiencing it with the pacing that it is, even though I want more. I think it's good to wait every week, because it's just like I look forward to it, and we talked about it earlier a little bit. It's like I haven't looked forward to like watching more than one show in a season for a long time, and this season has like kind of shifted that up for me. And then this show in particular, just like look forward to it every week because it's so good.
I'm glad you guys see it that way. This is one of the animes that I had seen like back in high school, and like got really into anime watching this. And so I'm glad that you guys enjoy it.
And we talked about it a little bit too, Orlando. Like, the animation is so bad, but like the direction is like so excellent that it's like I'm okay with it. And I don't say that about a lot of shows, because it's like sometimes if it's like bad story and the animation is bad, it's like, drop it, done.
The original visual novel has pretty bad artwork.
Yeah.
So it's still better than that.
Yeah, for sure. It's not an animation masterpiece, that's for sure.
At least the storyline is good, though.
Yeah.
Like, it,
Absolutely.
like we said, leaves you wanting more. All right, well, let's move on. There are other shows that you guys wanted to talk about. I don't know if we were gonna cut this short or not. I know you guys really want to talk about Rabbit Cafe.
I mean, we can just like touch on.
Yeah, we can talk a quick hit on some of them, like how Danmachi is awful.
Let's go down the list, though. Don Machi is next up on the list. I mean, I said this before the episode started. It's like, why am I watching this damn show? I don't know.
It's
We say it every season.
brain off.
Yeah.
It's turn your brain off. It's like
There's
the
just-
monsters talk now.
Yeah.
Crazy.
They're homies.
Yeah.
They're using Hestia's family to, bring everybody together because she's like the goddess of family and love, and I don't even know.
I'm telling you, I bet you when these novels were written is when the Monster Girl craze was big.
Had to have been.
Like it has
I
to.
agree. If the series creator is like starting a new fantasy manga, like now he's probably like, dude, I
He's
need to
over
just
it.
do something new.
Yeah.
Dude, something else has to come out. Like, got to get my ideas out there. It's got to be different. I don't know, man. Don Machi.
But we'll keep watching it.
Yeah, it's like I'm not gonna stop watching it now. It's almost like I've been so invested at this point that I'm like I just can't give up. That it's like I like some of the characters, yet I also despise some of the characters at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's really the only reason why I'm watching,
Because you despise them.
because I despise them.
Yeah.
So I
You want to see somebody get yeeted off a tower?
Yeah,
wanna
I'm
watch
waiting for
Lily
it.
get yeeted off a tower.
I
Just
would be
awful.
I would be down with that.
Yeah. Get her, just eliminate her from the show, and it's like instantly better, like right from there.
Yeah. You get
Anyway.
these like fluffy, cute parts too that are like they just kind of draw you, and you're like, oh, like that's really sweet. I'm glad everybody loves each other in the house.
Well, like Haruhime is like a great character.
Yeah, she's great.
So.
Yeah. I don't know. Next up here, we got Majo no Tabi Tabi, the search for the journey of Elena.
No,
Is
no,
that what
no.
it is?
Search. You put search for because you couldn't find it from Majo no Tabi Tabi.
Oh,
Yeah.
Journey of Elena.
You're
I was
getting called
wait,
out.
What's the search for?
You put that in there. I'm just gonna.
I
I'm
put
gonna
that in there?
Yeah, you put the
Oh,
search
my-
for in there.
My bad. Maybe I was.
It's the
typing
journey of
something else.
Elena because Majo no
Okay.
Tabi Tabi is just the witch's journey.
Okay, yeah, I was like, what is that? It's like that's a lot of words for only 3 words of weapons.
Debated.
Wait, Drew, you haven't watched the latest episode yet?
I have not, friends. I'm sorry.
It's this show is literally my favorite show of the season. Like
Yeah.
I look forward to this show the most out of any of the shows that is airing. More so
this is-
than Love Live, more so than Rabbit Cafe or Strike Witches. All of these shows I do really enjoy.
Yeah, this is a very like cute but also serious version of Kino's. Like it's just got a lot of things common with it, but it's doing a lot of things really well. I mean, number one, like the animation is incredible. Like every episode so far has been really great. The music is great. The characters themselves are also really well written. Elena's a pretty good character, and all of these side characters that we're getting to visit are pretty like well fleshed out, and
Yeah.
and they are complicated characters that are done in like a 20-minute episode.
You're spot on with the comparison to Kino's Journey.
It's
It's just
it's
that
very
episodic
identical.
format where everything kind of stands on its own, as it could be its own short film or just like thing, but it's this like it is this journey for Elena. Like everything somewhat ties together in her experience, but everything can kind of stand on its own.
it's
And,
very
like,
separate. Yeah,
the Kino's
She's
Journey
ex-
thing is like a very good comparison.
Yeah, like it's like very encapsulated experiences that she's having that are, in one episode she's going through the gamut of, like just tension and then resolution. But in this episode you don't really get much of a resolution, which is why I really loved
Yeah.
it, because
She just
you're
speculates.
you just sort of speculate about like what happened with these characters at the end. And I mean, you kind of know, it's like you know where these characters are, and
Yeah.
like you can feel their tension and feel that they're trapped, but
You're perturbed.
you also yeah. You're just sort of I don't know, man. I was left like so uneasy, but that was the purpose of the episode, is like sort of makes you feel uneasy, and like Elena's just happy with moving
you're
on,
in
and
Elena's
it's like,
shoes
oh man,
in
Yeah.
this episode because you're an outsider but as an outsider, you can see everything, all of the dynamics, and understand immediately what is going on, the whole situation. And it's so hard for the people in the situation to see what's going on because they're just like they're blind to everything else. That it's just so disturbing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is a great episode.
Yeah.
I really love this episode. That's why I asked. I was like, did you watch it? Like, I need to talk about this.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to where this series is going. I kind of hope it continues along this like episodic format, but I also sort of am hoping for like maybe slightly longer.
Like a 2 or 3 episode arc, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like slightly longer arcs. But yeah, I really love this. I really love this show.
I will catch up this week.
It's very good.
So. Yeah,
I really like the first episode. I don't know why I didn't watch the other two. But yeah, I will catch up.
Yeah, I say just get to episode 3 and then watch it. Like you'll be engrossed in the episode. I couldn't because I was doing something. I was like sending out emails while I was watching it, right? And then I would like turn to right, and I was like, I need to.
I was trying to multitask, but I was just like, no, I need my full attention on this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, next up on the list too is another one that Rolando and I are watching. Haikyuu. Can we talk about this? I'm afraid to talk about this.
Alex, shut your ears.
This season is great, man. I mean, like, it's like I don't want to spoil anything either, but some of the things that I'll point out really quickly about why I love this season and why I love this half of the match is because there's a lot of other elements outside of just the kids playing that are being like that are affecting this match. You know, it's like you have the audience members, and Tanaka's sister is like MVP for the first half of this match. Like she shows up and just basically saves the day, and then like you have like Tanaka's like friend who is also giving us insights, and then you have this other random kid who's also giving us insights into the match, and then you just have all the players who are like stepping up and going above and beyond. And then obviously the other team is like a force, man.
Yeah,
it's intense.
This is honestly my favorite match so far, and it's kind of odd to say because it's like I love the first couple of seasons or the first few seasons because it's like season 3's match was fucking epic, but this match, like, I feel like is already on par, if not going to be better than season 3's match. It's just so every episode is hype.
It's hype. That's how the show is, man. That's what I was telling you guys for so long. I was like, the show is just like the definition of hype. Like, you just get so excited over like the smallest, like after a single point, you're just like, yeah, like you just want to cheer.
It's funny because it's like normally you would think like, how could you watch a volleyball match for a whole season? But when they go so in depth with the character development and with kind of like what's happening through the match, like it doesn't matter if it's only been a couple of points in the actual like time of the match. You're getting these characters, they're being fleshed out. You're kind of understanding what's been happening behind the scenes and like how things have developed to this point. Like this show, like every time I watch it, I enjoy it because you just get that feeling that like you want to like cheer on like the Karasuno, their volleyball team, because it's just you just feel great like watching them, and like every time they grow, each of the characters. Man, I just really love how like we're just in this match because the way that the first half of this season ended with like the 2-season break, you get into the match and you're so invested in it, and then there's just a break and you're like, fuck. But then they just get back into it, and every episode is so fucking hype. It's just it's so good.
It's a great show. It's like I can't recommend this show enough to anybody who enjoys even like a modicum of sports anime. It's like if you enjoy the show, you will absolutely love it. And we have like nothing else but great things to say about this show. Haikyuu, man, it's great.
Dude, especially after this episode,
Yeah,
highly
right?
recommend. It's just
Yes.
so good. Just all the characters
so
get
lit.
fleshed out. It's just great.
So lit. Whenever Tanaka scores a point, he's just like, yeah.
I hope he gets with his childhood friend, man. I hope he gets his happy ending. He's such a good character. I said that from the first season. I really like his character. He's just so enjoyable.
Yeah, him and I was gonna say Ninomiya, but
Oh yeah,
Shinomiya.
Yeah, the Great Wall. Like those are
Reaper.
two of my favorite characters in this
yeah.
whole series.
Yep. Nice. All right. Enough about Haikyuu. We could talk about Haikyuu like all day.
Yeah.
Let's move on to another sports show. Let's just talk about Sports Climbing Girls real quick. I think we talked about this last week too, that this show is very enjoyable because of like how easygoing it is, but it's also like kind of stressful at times. This is episode 3, right?
Yep.
It kind of shoves you into the let's go actually bouldering, and then
But
I was
actual
like, oh, this
boulders.
is- but actual boulders, and I was like, this is a different feel than being in an indoor climbing area. Don't know how this is gonna go.
I wrote a note for this week's episode because of what we talked about the last couple episodes or whatever. But I am enjoying this show more going into it, thinking a bit about it like a show like Keijo, where it's like not trying to take itself like super seriously, and they're just like, you know, there's like supernatural aspects to it, and the characters are kind of goofy. And I have been enjoying it more because of that, I would say. So that's the one thing I wanted to mention about this show. Other than it was better this week too, because I mentioned like before where you can't just like go into a tournament and expect to like perform well. And so like this week they kind of went more on the main character's like struggles, as like her body is like she's been a like couch potato gamer. She needs to, yeah, you know, she's not gonna be able to do a lot of the things, and they touched on that a lot more this episode, so it was more realistic for me in that sense. So
Yeah,
it's an enjoyable show.
that I always forget is that like I need to not take this show very as seriously as I do. I need to not
For
watch
sure.
the show after I watch Haikyuu.
Like don't take it seriously at all. It's just that's just what you have to do. You just have to go into it with that mindset.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, then last up on the list, we got Rabbit Cafe. You guys are always so excited. You always see those smiles when I talk about Rabbit Cafe.
This is
it away.
honestly like just classic Gochiusa.
Yep.
The episode itself like has everything that's like the best parts of the first 2 seasons.
Yep. This week concentrated on the character Shero, who is kind of like I don't know, how would you describe her, Rolando? She's frugal. She is
Tsundere.
Tsundere as hell. I don't know. She's easily bullied. She's like an easy bully character. And so like the episode like kind of concentrates on her, and it is just like you smile when you're watching the whole thing. It's like you can't be upset when you watch this show, just because it's so lighthearted. It's so fun. I mean, they do all the normal things that you would expect out of a show. They like this week they do like a test of courage in the first half of the episode, and it's just cute girls doing cute shit. And then they have the Phantom Thief Lapin, and she's cosplaying, and she's like so dedicated to the character because she wants to make little kids smile. And you're just like, how can you not love that? It's so nice. It's so nice.
It kind of brings up, because it's like she had a similar thing in the previous seasons where she was trying to like figure out how to deal with was it children as well in the previous season?
It's a lot of that. It's also like her fear of rabbits in general, and you know, just like goofy things like that for sure. But she's always trying to like
She's afraid of rabbits. No, legit. She's afraid of rabbits. She owns a rabbit now, but you find out how that comes about. in the
Yeah,
second season.
it's like a big deal for her to be able to even like live with for one. So
That's funny.
With the
actually, 'cause I
Bancho
can kinda
rabbit.
relate to that because I used to own a tarantula and I like hate spiders. So
Yeah, I remember you had a
get that.
tarantula at your place.
never touched it. Never
Yeah.
did anything with it. I just had it.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
yeah.
Funny. I do need to catch up. I will catch up. And I said this last week. I will maybe not catch up, but I will start watching it this week. I have some more time, so I do plan.
If you're ever like sad or just like want to smile and be
all
happy,
the time.
just watch this show because it's
We have a
impossible.
separate conversation about that.
But in all seriousness, like if you watch this, like you can't help but smile just because it's like so cute and lighthearted, and it's just
Yeah.
it's easy to watch and it's so enjoyable. All the characters are good. It's rare that you say that in a show, especially like a show like this. But every single character is good, and you just want to hang out with them and watch them do cute shit, I guess.
I do have to say, in terms of like that feeling that you're mentioning, I get that in a lot of shows this season. Like for me personally, and I knew like this season kind of spoke out to me in general because there are a lot of shows that
This
I
season's
would
so
enjoy.
good.
Like the new Love Live has really been great in my opinion. Strike
Yeah, it's been
Witches coming back has been great in my opinion. Higurashi, this show, there's just so much that I've enjoyed this season. I'm kind of glad because this year kind of sucked with anime.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty touch and go there. for a while.
Slim pickings for a lot of the year. So it's good to kind of come back and have like good consistent shows, and this season has been that, and it's like really refreshing. I agree.
Yeah. Speaking of needing a pick me up, though, we are finishing up our rewatch of Clanad.
How wait
and
no.
and things.
What about that as a pick me up?
No, I'm gonna need a pick me up.
You're gonna need one.
Okay.
That's what I meant. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. Is that after these last two episodes, man, I was like just finished watching it. I was like, God,
The next
hurts to
episode's
watch.
gonna be just as bad.
Yeah, so if you wanna cry along with us, we are rewatching Clanad After Story. What episodes of this? 16, 17, and 18?
No, that was what we just did. So
We
nice.
just
19 and 20.
19 and 20. So if you wanna jump in and listen to us cry, you can definitely do that. Join us on our Discord. Go to our website, animeondraft.com. We have links to our Discord as well as on our Twitch page. And you can join us when we rewatch Clanad After Story on Thursday around, I think it's 8 p.m. is what we're doing now. So yeah, and then afterwards, if you want to hang around and watch some comfy shows, maybe we'll watch some Rabbit Cafe and
Or
maybe,
Minami
you
K,
know,
because you haven't
Or Minami
watched
K.
any more
There
of
we
that
go.
since. Yeah.
That's a good idea too. Yeah, we can watch some Minami K and kind of pick ourselves back up, pick up our broken pieces. Yeah, so I think that does it for us this week, guys. Thank you very much. Join our Discord. Follow along with us whenever we're having our rewatches. It's always fun whenever we have other people within the community, in our rewatch and our watching streams. So you can also follow us on our Twitter whenever we go live or wherever posting things. That's at Anime on Draft. Or you can follow us on our Instagram page and see pictures of the beer that we're drinking. We are Anime on Draft Podcast there. You can also search for us on other podcasting services if you want to listen to some of our previous episodes, previous series that we've done, like Cowboy Bebop or the Monogatari series, as we've talked about. Just search for Anime on Draft on any other podcast services. You name it, we're up there. Also on YouTube, you can watch some of our previous VODs if you want to see our lovely faces. So yeah, I think that does it. We are streaming on Twitch. We'll be back here next Monday around 7 p.m. Pacific time on twitch.tv/animeondraft. Turn on notifications. That way you can be notified whenever we do go live. And if you have anything else that you'd like to talk to us about, any other concerns, if you have any recommendations for shows, let us know. Send us an email at contact@animeondraft.com or go to our website and then just hit the contact link on there. And then, if you would feel so inclined to leave us a rating on any of your podcasting services of choice, we would greatly appreciate the feedback. And I think that does it for us this week. Thank you guys for joining us. We will see you again next time. Bye-bye.
We love you, San Diego.
Bye.
Stay classy, San
Stay
Diego.
classy, San Diego.